Hi, and welcome back. In this chapter, we will talk about the huge difference between search and actual booking, because that's important to understand. We will touch on the new concept of MCP a little bit as well on a high level, because that's important too, as it's poised to revolutionize the way products are searched and purchased. So first, let's be crystal clear. Search and conversion are not the same thing. Search is discovery. It's the process of an AI finding, interpreting, and recommending products. Booking is a transaction. It's when the AI actually books, handling payments, confirmations, and all the messy details. To be purchased, you need to first be discovered. That's what this course focuses on. To understand the bigger picture, here are the three main booking models AI platforms are experimenting with today. API model, already adopted by Perplexity, Google Gemini, and some direct integrations with GPTs. The AI connects directly to the source via API feeds, like the traditional old-school integration. Strength, fast and reliable, no scraping, no guesswork, always accurate, updates instantly, already widely in use. Weaknesses? Requires tech integration. Businesses need to give API access, which means that smaller companies will not get exposure. Example would be, when you ask Google Gemini, find me a boutique hotel in Lisbon this weekend, it taps Google Travel APIs, which are powered by hotel booking engines' direct APIs. So how do you want to leverage that? First of all, ensure your listing is present in the corresponding ecosystem of third-party platforms. We will talk about it in more detail in lecture number 4. Also, make sure to maintain an updated Google business profile and supply your prices and inventory via established API Google connections or a connectivity partner. Gemini and other AI platforms are pulling availability rates and inventory from those sources. So here's an example from retail space. It's an example of an API model. In this specific one, ChatGPT is pulling inventory and prices from shopping data providers. When you, for example, are looking for running shoes. So you enter your query in ChatGPT window. I'm looking for running shoes. I'm preparing for a marathon. Find me best running shoes under $120. And you're seeing a structured answer in a structured format where you can see the pictures of the products, you can see the prices, and you're actually able to navigate to the vendor website. So again, this happens through API connections established between OpenAI and those shopping data providers. In October 2025, ChatGPT, OpenAI announced a partnership with Stripe for completing transactions within the ChatGPT window, as you are seeing here an example of the video that they published. You can search for items within the ChatGPT window, and you can actually complete the transaction with the actual purchase completed and the payment made through ChatGPT, and that is through their partnership with Stripe. And here's Perplexity. The same search, the same query. What's interesting here is that, first of all, we are also seeing structured data, structured response with pictures, with review scores, rating scores, prices, and some description and the title of the product. But also, once you click on one of the products that you're interested in, another window opens up, which you see on the right here, where you can actually complete transaction within the Perplexity window, and you don't even need to to provide any additional details about your name, your contact information, your address, and your credit card, because this is already stored by Perplexity if you are signed up for Perplexity Pro. If you're not, then you will have to enter those details. But Perplexity went one step further past the traditional API connection. They actually enabled the payment system as well, a payment layer where the transaction can actually be completed within Perplexity ecosystem. Next, web model. Currently adopted by ChatGPT in agent mode. How it works? The AI acts like a human browsing the web, reads the content, clicks through, and can even fill forms. Strength doesn't need special integration. Any website that's usable by a human can be used by an agent. Can combine multiple sources, official site, OTA reviews, etc. on the fly. Weaknesses? Slower than APIs. Risk of errors. Sometimes AI clicks the wrong thing or misreads. You'll see it in action in a bit. Payment and confirmation workflows are trickier. AI must securely handle credit cards. So to be prepared, ensure your direct booking process is AI friendly. So here we're looking at the agent mode in ChatGPT. It's available only, I believe, in paid version of ChatGPT currently as of the recording of this course, of this video. So I am trying to see if I can book a dinner or if I can have it book a dinner for me for tonight. 2 people in a romantic restaurant with great views somewhere in Little Italy, San Diego. The sources are, I'm only doing a web search as a source, and I'm in the agent mode right here. So we're starting it, and it's gonna take its sweet time to set up the desktop. Now it understood what I wanted from it, and it's interpreting my request, rephrasing it, and now it's asking me, do I have a preferred time for the dinner, or should I look for a general evening availability, anything around 7 p.m. So it asked a clarifying question. So it's starting to look at different websites. It went to Bing and it's looking at TripAdvisor, OpenTable, social media, Little Italy website, and it's doing its thing. There is a very interesting situation here. It's trying to solve the challenge to prove that it's human, and it successfully did it. So it went to the direct website, restaurant website, Kettner Exchange, which is a very popular restaurant here in San Diego. It was not able to access it. So there is a lesson learned, right? You want to make sure that your direct website is accessible by a bot like ChatGPT. So there's not a lot of obstacles for it to search content on your website. So it gave up to try to do it on the direct restaurant website, and instead it went to TripAdvisor. And now it's opening OpenTable, and it's trying to make a reservation at the restaurant. It looks like it made the selection of the restaurant, and it's looking at the availability and selecting the time for 2 people for tonight, October 1st, which it knows that tonight is October 1st. I remember I didn't actually specify that. I just said tonight. So it worked. It was able to interpret the context of the time, and it's trying to book an OpenTable. So it's made its selection, and it's found the appropriate websites. And it asked me to take over to enter the remaining details. So it asked for my name and phone number. I provided my name and phone number and asked it to complete the reservation on the OpenTable website for Kettner Exchange, which it's attempting to do right now. And what's nice about it is it's essentially narrating everything that it's doing. So it tells you, I'm doing this, I'm opening this, I'm control clicking on that, I'm choosing the time, I'm entering your name. So it's actually fascinating to watch, more interesting than Netflix, actually. And note that the more steps you have on your website between showing availability of your products and services and the purchase process, the more steps you have in that flow, the more difficult it's going to be for the bot to finish. There are more chances it has to actually fail and break and not be able to complete that transaction. So make sure that your booking flow, your purchase flow is easy and it has minimal steps to go through. It's as annoying for bots as it is for humans. And so after about 20 minutes, it actually successfully completed the reservation, and I received a confirmation email as if I was booking it manually myself. And last but not least, MCP model. Model Context Protocol. The new shiny and most obscure object, not yet in use, but full of promise. How it works. MCP, a new standard being pushed by OpenAI, Anthropic, etc., would allow AI agents to directly talk to a system in a standardized way, like a universal API connector, but designed for LLMs. Strength? Standardized, less custom development per platform. Supports contextual queries. Weaknesses? Not really implemented yet on a large scale. Nobody knows how hard it will hit us. Adoption will likely be slow, just like with past standards. An example would be a traveler asks their personal AI assistant, book me a pet-friendly hotel in San Diego this Saturday under $400. Then it queries your MCP-enabled booking engine, gets structured results, and books directly. Here's an infographic that shows which AI platforms currently allowed to book hotel reservations by polling real-time ARI. Everything may change tomorrow, but this is where we stand today. ChatGPT is able to book in agent mode via human-like browsing, no APIs. Gemini books via, obviously, Google Hotels API. Perplexity is a very interesting case. They partnered with Selfbook and TripAdvisor and now essentially are playing a role of an aggregator, displaying rates for the same hotel from multiple channels. So, moral of the story, if your website is not easy to navigate for a human, it won't be easy to navigate for a bot. Simple as that. Okay, so how the heck do you measure your AI traffic? Let's say those transactions actually happen on those AI websites, right? People do click through, or maybe they don't book, they just click through and look at your website from AI chat window. One of the hardest parts of AI search right now is tracking where your traffic actually comes from. Well, I have good news and bad news. Good news, you can separate your AI referrals from everything else in your Google Analytics stats. You can do it by following these steps you see on the screen. There are plenty of videos you can find on YouTube that explain how to do it, but just like a good AI assistant, I picked the best one for you.
Hi, this is Ben Jariola, Senior SEO Director here at 8560. What we're going to talk about today is AI platforms or LLM assistants and tracking their traffic and conversions. So there's different ways how you could do this. You could build it within the template reports within Google Analytics and create filters there. Or you could use the Explore reports within Google Analytics and build the filters there. Or you could create a custom channel and configure it. So there's 3 areas within Google Analytics. If you're using a different platform, most likely it's going to be in a different area. But how we do this, just pay attention to the concepts, and most likely you'll still be able to do it in the exact same way. What we're going to use is what you call regular expressions, or regex for short. This is not a video about regex, so we're not going to go through a full-blown lesson about that. But this is a way of giving patterns to search for within these filters. And I will supply these filters. I'm breaking them down into 2. One is if only inclusion regex is allowed, meaning you give a pattern of what sources should be included. Now, I'll give another example that is more accurate, is if inclusion and exclusion is allowed. So for the inclusion, this is the main regex pattern. It doesn't have to make sense right now, but you'll see that this is a search pattern to determine what the different platforms are and basically include them in the results. Now, if exclusion is allowed, there are 2. There's an include regex and there's an exclude regex. Let's go into the platform and take a look how this is done. So here you'll see that we are now in the traffic acquisition report specifically. Now, so let's go ahead and try to do that with a filter in this report. Simply click on Add Filter. And in Add Filter, under Dimension, what you want to search for is sources. And specifically, we want session source. And in the session source, we'll choose the match type, and what we'll use is matches regex. And we'll use the pattern that we have. And I will simply paste in that pattern for the inclusion and simply click on apply. Once we do apply, you'll see that this list got shorter. Now, to see the specific sources, we could always click on the plus sign here to add it as a secondary dimension. I'll simply search for source, and I'll search for the session scope source. And you'll see now that you have ChatGPT, which interestingly comes in different channels for some reason, but you'll have all your AI channels here, and you're now looking at the traffic and other metrics over here that was coming from the AI platforms. Okay, here's the second situation with Explore reports. You could see the Explore option here on the left, and under Explore, you could create new reports, and what we did a simple freeform report. And in this freeform report, we are displaying these dimensions, which is basically the source. What I've added as metrics, and you could see here, sources under rows, the session source. And for the metrics, I simply included sessions, transactions, and revenue. And you can see all the sources are here. What we want to do is to create a filter, and I'll go ahead and create a filter. So I will simply choose session source, add it here. And here in the conditions, I will say matches regex. In matches regex, I will use the pattern for inclusion, which I will now use the second version, this one. Okay, so I'll simply copy that and I'll add it in here. So what this will do is it will apply regex rules to filter it to these words. However, you could see that there are some like data not available because it has the letters AI, mailing, email, mail.google, a sail through, which are primarily not AI platforms. So this is why we need the exclusion rule. If we go back to the deck, you could see here the exclude. We're going to simply copy that. So I'll go ahead and go back and create another rule. In the template reports, we were not able to add another one, but let's go ahead and try it here in the Explore reports. So let's go ahead and add session source as another filter, which is added here. And then in session source, I will simply do does not match regex. And then we'll paste the same string that we have. Okay, you could now see here that the exclusion rules are implemented. So whenever you're looking at a report, if I go back here to the traffic acquisition, this is typically how a marketer would go in and view traffic and conversions coming from the different marketing channels. We're not seeing anything related to AI here, but these channels could be customized. You could create your own channels. If I navigate here under admin, and under admin, you're going to go to the channel groups, and under channel groups, you'll see something like this. What you're going to do here is, if you haven't really edited anything in the past, you'll only have default channel groups. But what you do is you create a new channel group. Once you create one, here is a sample, it's going to pre-populate with all the default channels. You just have to create a new channel. A form is going to appear similar to this. And the beauty of this, you could have both an include matches regex and an exclude does not match regex. And we use the same rules that we have mentioned before and simply paste them in here. There's one difference though that I took note in the slide. I have the red text over here, and what this means is to make this case insensitive, just in case any of these sources are coming in uppercase or lowercase. However, when we were doing it here in the channels report, it was not accepted in the source. And for some reason, but it's accepted in the exclude rules. But that is the rule here for the channels. Once you're done with that, you save it.
Okay, so that was relatively understandable. I hope you can again find more videos online, but it's pretty straightforward. If you are somewhat familiar with Google Analytics, you should be able to easily find that there. If not, you can take basic classes on how to read Google Analytics report and data. So again, that's a very valuable source of information. So highly recommend. After you go through these steps and start tracking how many website visitors those AI bots send to you, you'll be surprised to see how minuscule the numbers really are, at least for now. Because here's the problem: AI doesn't click, it answers. Using AI to search for things, ask recommendations, etc. But they're not always clicking directly from those tools into your websites. So there's that. Traffic is lower, but conversions are stable, and the traffic you do get from AI tends to be higher quality. Fewer random clicks, more serious intent. AI has flattened the top of the funnel. Most interactions now end inside the AI summary itself, without attribution, without links, and without any need to click through. What does that gibberish mean? It means that the old playbook, chasing page views, rankings, or click-through rates, isn't just outdated, it's actually misleading. So what should we measure? Brand visibility and AI readability. Because, first, clicks are disappearing, but attention isn't. Your business might be shaping a traveler's decision inside an AI overview, even if that never shows up in your analytics. Influence now happens in SERP, search engine results page itself. The goal is to get quoted, summarized, or cited directly in AI answers. So you need to optimize for visibility, not just traffic. Success means shaping perception and building trust before the user ever lands on your site. That's why the new North Star metric is brand visibility and AI readability. And this course has been created to help you improve both. This concludes Chapter 2. In the next lecture, we will dive into how AI search differs from traditional SEO and review those prioritization parameters that are critical to optimizing your content for AI platform. See you soon.